Good morning once again, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. I come again in front of you, bringing a beautiful set of panelists again, and our moderator for today, none other than Mr. Sunil Subramanian, VP Business Development, EDC Creative Technology Solutions, digital storyteller and creative navigator with over 2 decades of experience in creative imagineering, adept himself of shaping business, brand, and digital transformation with innovative ideas, creative technologies, and experiential designs and interactive content. Shaped and defined and implemented various first of its kind digital business transformations, projects, and initiatives for the clients from a spread of industry like L&T, ITC, 3M, Codes, Saint Gobain, IBM, Infosys, Wipro, and host of others. Wow. Currently responsible for large business deals in his current stint as SVP, Senior Vice President Business Development at EDC India, and redefining the best of creative technology solutions to the global market with unique offering that includes experience centers and museums and e-business mobility, web solutions, web marketing and SMO, rich media, e-learning, and a lot more to it. His passions outside of work include creative writing. He loves music. He loves reading. He loves nature. Ladies and gentlemen, he's got a love for the wildlife photography and trekking too. What an overall personality. Wow. Welcome, sir. Good to have you on the session.
Thank you so much, Deepika. I think that was over exaggerated.
Are you being modest, sir?
Considering that I've been hosting many of these sessions, and I think I've cracked a softer spot with the youth. So, hi youth. Good to see you all again. I'm on a different role today. However, look forward to a great session. Thanks, Deepika.
Absolutely. You're being very modest, and I'm so humbled with your response. I also have wonderful, interesting institutional professional with me, Miss Akshata GR, CEO, Shrishti Skills Private Limited. Welcome, ma'am. I also have industry professional, Mr. Ravi Kumar Radhakrishnan, CEO, EDC Creative Technology Solutions. Welcome, sir. Good to have you with us on the panel. Youth professional, we have Mr. Shubhankar. He's digital marketing enabler with Skill Ablers, and youth student, the very lovely Miss Michelle Simon, student, Madras School of Economics. So over to you, Mr. Sunil Subramanian. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much again, Deepika. And I have a lovely set of panelists today for a very redefining discussion that we're going to have on profiling. And profiling is as good as who you are. So we'll start a small background from a perspective of YCC. I think we've heard over these 38 tracks that we've had over these last 14 days, the last 12 days, we've heard the demands of the three I's, the youth, the individuals, that's you, for whom this event is being designed. We've heard the opinion makers from the industry. I think I would call them opinion makers because we've got so many derivatives from a perspective of being able to be, I would say, life skill ready and job ready. And we've also got the institution perspective. I think that was an eye-opener in many ways as to how some of our best institutions, including the IITs, are looking to transform themselves from being universities of choice to idea factories, as it was put. So what is the new generation going to be like while they join these idea factories? You start at a university and then you would look at shaping up your career and then looking at a job, looking at an opportunity that you spend the next of your 50, 60 years of life pursuing. So while you pursue, I think the key attribute to that perception that you build would be to be, to build yourself on, number one, your attitude. Your attitude needs to start early. Your attitude needs to be shaped. Your attitude needs to be resilient. to be able to meet the demands of the converged world. If you were there in the previous session, you would have realized that today is about job functions that are going to demand skills that are going to be multi-skill requirements. So just coming out of your university with your degree and your specialization is not going to be good enough because many more of your peers are going to come out with a similar degree, maybe from a better institute, maybe with more marks, maybe with more credentials. But however, that's not going to be the winning factor. What is going to be your passport to employability is a question that I think we would like to deep dive into today and redefine the concept of the popular resume. You know, all of us think that our resume is, something that we build a couple of hours or a couple of weeks before you shoot out for your job. But I think it's as good as you seeing yourself in the mirror every day. As you build your face opinion, I think you also build your career opinion. And to build your career opinion, you have to be starting early as maybe when you're in the 8th standard, so that you actually shape yourself from a perspective of not only the technical skills that you would learn in a school or in a university, but that's not going to be enough for you to grow, for you to excel, for you to perform. It's going to call for skills that are not going to be taught in your universities and in your schools. It's going to call for skills that's going to ask you to stretch to be able to do more, especially at times like these. You know, all the universities of the world are open to you. Learning and knowledge is a given. So with all of these benefits and cherries on your plate, I think it's only demands attitude to self-start, to learn, to be different from the other. And to be different from the other and be yourself, you need to start somewhere. And that start is, how do you make yourself employable? So I would like to start with a quote which I read on employability today, and I did today. So this was about how, it just strikes a chord, and I think it's a good start to get all my panelists excited. So employability is an ability to enthrall your customer and your employer with undisputable capabilities to optimize personal development and job growth. That's from Terence Chu. And Terence Chu is, by the way, well-known performance consultant and employability coach. And with that perspective, I think, we get this conversation started by first me defining that the whole purpose and idea of YCC as an event was to bring together the 3 I's. And the 3 I's, I think, is the fabric on which the entire Skillablers platform is designed, because we believed very closely that to build the next generation of employability and skills, we need an interaction between the 3 I's, the youth, the institution, and no doubt the industry. And building this nexus, if I could call it, has been thought of from a perspective of being able to create an ecosystem which would provide a youth to start early, start in his 8th, start building your personality, start building your profile, start building your capabilities, be driven rather than just put together a CV. So your life is what your life, your personality, you're a total package when you go to an employer. And going to an employer means that you have to be prepared to not only understand and appreciate your strengths, but also to build upon your weaknesses, so that at the end of the day, you're looking at a fully rounded pathway to your performance and to your success. So what was this ecosystem that we kind of visualized through Skillablers as a platform? Is actually an ecosystem that brings together the three I's, no doubt, but builds on it by bringing in internships, by bringing in mentoring, by bringing in an incubation cell where new ideas can be evolved and funded, looking at a live interaction environment, be it a classroom, be it an industry, be it an institution, being able to conduct events like this where the interactions and the voices and expertise is spread across the target audience that we're looking at. And obviously look at a training ecosystem that is designed as a finishing school and not just purely as as a few assets of learning, which we believe is in overuse today as you are going through your education itself. And then build these learning resources that primarily help you upskill, multi-skill, be integrated as a person for the industry. And obviously, we bring in the right careers, we bring in the right jobs, and we bring in the right opportunities for youth seeking interesting careers and being able to get a passport to employability. So with that, I think I've set the context to our discussions. I would like to roll over to my panelists and get their opinion from a perspective of the importance of 360-degree profiling. You don't build just a CV, but you start building a portfolio of your skills, of your life, of your personality through a 360-degree profiler. So let me start with Mr. Ravi Kumar. Ravi, you being the front runner, the inventor, I would say use the word propagator of a new culture and a new opportunity for youth to find careers and employability. How do you see this shaping up, from a perspective of this mindset change that primarily has to move from, a CV to a profile?
Yep. Thank you, Sonal, and thanks for that, kind of setting the tone for what we're going to be discussing now. I think what you said, and what you ended with, the mindset, I think that's the key for how we need to be perceiving what we are actually getting to do there. It's very important that we have all gone through these systems in our age, right? Nothing has changed in that perspective in terms of the process we are going through. But what is important is, as we have come along, there has to be changes to come in to better the system. Right? We're not talking about replacing the systems, because that's difficult. You can't get against the system and say we are not revolutionaries. We are kind of people who are common people who are wanting to bring better change in society, better change in the way we came through, which we felt is lacking. Now, as we came through the same youth process, because I don't think any generation, when they have gone through their youth perspective, they have kind of told, all of us in our youth, we have told that our previous generation don't understand us. I mean, that's a common norm. Even we have heard that even through many of the panelists who told that, who are quite senior. And if not for the changes what the previous generation brought in, I don't think we have enough credibility to talk and do what we're doing today. Right? We should respect that in the first place. Now, that being said, not necessarily that everything what was told to us is gospel truth. Right? There has to be changes which have to come in society. There have to be few of us to actually bring the change in society, for which the starting point is the thought. How are we going to bring a paradigm shift in how we get things better? And this was a very critical point which over the past 8 years, where if not for research, but see, it's very easy to tell that we brought out a concept and then, something new. It's very important to bring that with a lot of insights. And here insights means it mattered from industry. Why from industry? Because the best of institutions, the kind of people they churn out from these institutions don't end up in the same institution. They have to come out of it. They have to get into industry. And industry is a different ballgame. I have had innumerable people, even from the government and all of them, asking me, are you trying to bring in the 3I together, wherein one, the individual, keep aside, no worries, but the industry and institution, which are two separate behemoths, Are you trying to bring them together? I mean, I think this is the challenge you have taken head on. If we can have people, you know, work their name telling that I am going to eradicate, let's say, polio, you know, that's the kind of challenge we have taken up today, right? Which is more imminent. This is not a CSR activity we need to think about. This is a critical change we need to bring in society and with our youth, because youth think the previous generation or the elders don't understand them. If we don't understand them, I don't know how we could have even brought out things like this in the current world, even with a mobile device which is so user friendly. You don't need a technologist to use a mobile, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's the kind of paradigm shift which is required to make youth employable. Not their fault, nobody's fault. Institutions have their own challenges. If you get deeper and deeper, you'll realize their challenges are much more bigger than what we can imagine.
Right.
You take the industry, they have their own set of challenges. They are also having many challenges in terms of, I can't afford to spend that much of time, effort, money into youth who's coming in without being experienced. Youth's problem is that, or individual's problem is that, if I don't get a break, where am I going to talk about experience?
Right.
So I can see these are things, I think, let it evolve through this discussion. But
Yes.
let me end there with making that stand as 3i Connect very critical. Changes have been evolving through generations, and this is the time, best time for us, with the lockdown being in place, where all of us can sit back and relax and then think with a peaceful mind to take it forward into the next level.
Fabulously put, Ravi. I think you made the point, the importance of the 3i Connect for employability. I think you struck the head, and you kind of clearly defined that industry and institutions are two parallel running engines, and how you build the synergy and the fabric between these two parallel running engines is the key. Akshata, you've been working with a lot of youth, looking at employability from a perspective of skills, of being able to educate, employ, and build entrepreneurs. I think that's what you have spent much of your life, 13 years, lovely experience to be with the youth. Where do you see the gaps? I mean, is there enough of youth coming with the right quality for employability? And is it the gap between the closer working fusion between industry and institution that is missing, to give a rounded edge to the youth trying to look at jobs and employment?
Okay. So if you look at this, here you will absolutely find there is a gap of the candidates who come down for the training, okay, to get that skilled. In case they get that skilled, what is the demand which is available right now in the industry? So there is a gap. So how do we close that gap? So first we need to understand what is the demand in the industry and what is that we can fill that. How do we fill that? So when the candidates come in, so there might be a professionals who get into the professional courses and they have their priority, what they need to do. But 50% of them don't know what to do in their life. So we need to do the screening, and the best thing is, how do we counsel them and make them understand and create an interest in what they're getting into it. That's a major thing, what we need to align between the industry and the candidates. So the demand should be completely ensured, it's been filled. So we put it across. So first thing is what is the course that they're going to opt? They come down. So once they come down, we need to give them what is available. So it might be 3 courses on what is available and what is the opportunity or a demand which is available. So there is 2 different things what we need to look into it. So how do we create that? Whether this candidate is eligible to go and get this particular job. So we need to ensure that in the institute, we have to guide them, counsel them, and make them understand that their age is very important, their time is very important, the course what they're getting into is also a very important, because to learn that, they need to have their attendance 100% if they're interested. So there will not be a dropout in that particular area.
Right.
Once we are done with that, the profiling of the candidate or create an interest in that particular demand and ensure they are getting into it. So their expectations levels also will be there. So to get that, as you rightly said, personality development is also should be a part of that, where they need to know how to handle their customers.
Right. So I think you made a very valid point, Akshita. I think that's something that I started with saying that, I mean, you put it from a perspective of demand and supply. But, I think the finishing school concept, of being able to build rounded skills from a perspective of not only how you need your primary skills to work, but also from a perspective of what makes you work more efficiently, right? You have communication, you have presentation, you have the way you conduct yourself, your etiquette. There are so many things that don't get taught to you in your universities. And when you're actually trying to match those skill gaps, you look at things, somebody might come with a perfect package of knowledge, but then might not really have the rounded personality that the job demands. I think so. I think the fundamentals of universities doing what they're doing, which is good courses and good teaching and good delivery, and added to that, a professional organization and a platform like Skillablers, being able to close the gaps from a perspective of actually rounding you off from a perspective of both your technical and your soft skills and your, I would say the periphery of multi-skills that you need to perform in industry today. I think very well put, Akshita. Thanks for that perspective. So let me hop in quickly to Shubhankar and ask him when he picked his career, which is today, he did an IT, degree in IT and technology, but today his passion drives him as a designer. So he's today into UX, UI, making films, being able to communicate with the youth in his current role using social media. So, I mean, you started somewhere and you got somewhere. So was it that your skills drove you to find your employability, or was it that your passion drove you to find your employability? What is it that made you?
Coming to my graduation, that degree was something which I just went into because I didn't find any other option. Probably lack of my knowledge. I didn't know that I had a likeness towards arts or designing, whatever it was, but I didn't know what to do for that. In fact, whomever I knew, whomever I have asked for, they didn't even know, because we live in a society where everyone gives more value for engineering or doctorate. Even though other people are equally important, they just don't really care much. I've wasted myself. Okay, so I was kind of pushed into engineering. So I finished it, but my passion for this whatever photography or arts or designing, all those things still existed. I know that I can't go take a parallel degree at the same time, because I was in a hostel and I was having classes busy with all the things. So I had few free time, obviously, which usually I use for movies or series, but I knew that, okay, I might have to do something for myself, some kind of skill development. And that's when YouTube, such a great platform for anything and everything. So I just went on searching for, tutorials, and I can't say I had some pirated softwares, but still, yeah, I downloaded. I couldn't afford basically such high-end ones, so I had to use those pirated ones, and I saw the YouTube tutorials, learned by myself, and yeah, I had to develop it by myself. So there was no much other help from anywhere else. Then I know that, okay, once I graduate, clearly I didn't want to do engineering. So even if I graduate, it doesn't mean I should be pushing myself towards it because I did that engineering course. I have the skill. I don't have to go because I did that. I have the skill. I can go with whatever skill I have. I will get chance somewhere. It's not like the whole world is stuck with, oh, you have done this course, you have to do only in that. No, I know that there will be someone who will be accepting me for the skill which I have, and someone did. You can see that person in this panel itself. Uh, all right. So that's how I kind of started as an intern.
Let's break the mystery. Who's the person on the panel? I mean, don't drop such clues and run away.
It's Mr. Ravikumar over here.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, he's totally different in that way. You know, he believes in this change. That's why the skill labeler even originated in the first place. So yes.
So Shubhu, you put it very well. You cheated. You ensured whatever you did, ensured that you built skill, and I think that is the secret of your sauce. You were able to actually break away from convention and follow your heart. So I think many of the youth listening should take this as a cue to their lives, because many things, many times what you study and what you build around your passions and your skills for those passions is, I think, what sails you through life, sails you through a successful life. I think that's a better definition to put. Thanks, Shubhu. Let me move on to Michelle. Michelle is a student bubbling with energy, doing her MBA. So Michelle, I mean, the road to a career is often very confusing. And I'm sure that, when you started, you had your own demons to chase away and find your sweet spot. And I think what you found today is from mathematics that you started with, which you say you're with, and the applications of mathematics in different fields that we've had a chat on, and the fascinating world of maths and the fascinating world of business. I think you're in that vortex of growth. So how did you primarily find your sweet spot, and what was those, I see joining even a college as a test of employability, because when you get out of your, your undergraduate program and get into a postgraduate program, you have to sell yourself, right? You need to build a portfolio of, or a profile that typically suits your institution and your engagement with that institution. So how did you profile yourself for the current role that the current course that you are in?
Right. So I grew up, so I have always had a liking for maths and, statistics especially. So growing up, of course, I had to choose between engineering and doctorate. So yeah, I think it's a well-known this thing in every household in India.
The road not taken. The road not taken. Yeah.
Right. So I was preparing for an MBBS in 12th standard. So what I realized then was that, I had two options. So I was going to go with one of those. And so it's not, as a student, the world intimidates you. I am not going to lie, the world intimidates you. So if you are given those two options, you just see which is the least worst of those two. So yeah, so you pick the one that is, suitable for you and you go ahead with that. So when I started coaching for MBBS, I realized that, this is not what I want to do for the rest of my life, So then I sat down and I, thought about what I would like to do. And I found maths to be really, it was conventionally different than, a history or literature or something like that.
Right.
So, so then I continued. I got into Mount Carmel for economics, maths, and statistics.
Right.
So after coming to Mount Carmel, and I think I was also going to apply for the internship, which I got into Skill Labelers last year. So now I did not know what Skill Labelers expected from me. Honestly, I was like, I know the theoretical stuff, and I know, this is what I can do, this is how I need to do it. but I didn't know what they wanted me to do. Okay, so I didn't know if they were going to give me data and tell me, do something on this, or so it's very confusing, to see what the industry expects, because as a student, you do not have much the knowledge of what the industry has. So even in colleges, they do not tell you that, what to expect if your career is going to be in maths, or if your career is going to be in psychology, or depending on what you are studying.
Right.
So, yeah.
Great. So in all adversity, you find great opportunities, and I think you've gone across all of that to be where you are. And you said a very interesting thing. You said you did your internship at Skillablers.
Yes, I did.
And so I have my next question starting from there. So what is the uniqueness that, this is a voice that I think that a lot of the youth should hear. So what is the uniqueness that you see from a perspective of the Skillablers platform, and especially from a perspective of being able to be employable?
Yes, so so when I first got to know about Skillablers, I, Googled them out, checked their website, and the first thing that struck out was videos of the frequently asked questions. So that really stuck to me. I mean, it was something that I hadn't seen before on any other website. And yeah, so one is that, and the second is, of course, their well-known single view profile. So which, properly entails like your entire autobiography, if I may. So it gives you everything right from your schooling, right from 10th standard, and then it gives you, visual infographics of, your marks, your interests, and how long your work experience and everything. I think it was definitely outside the box.
Great, great. So that leads me to my next question to Ravi. So Ravi, I think I'm taking the cue from Michelle. Thanks, Michelle, for bringing us back to the visual profiler. So Ravi, what was the thinking behind the visual profiler that we have in Skillablers as a platform? And it's a patented technology that you built from a perspective of being able to, as Michelle put it, build an autobiography of yourself. Rather than build just a CV or a resume that you seek, but build an entire portfolio of who you are beyond, I would say, your hard skills, your personality skills, your soft skills, and building that quotient of EQ along with IQ, if I can use those two words. So what is the thinking, what is the motivation, and what are the features?
Yeah, so let's take an analogy here. Okay, we are getting a car, we're buying a car, and when we drive the car, we are forgetting the fact that it's come over years of development of the evolution of automobiles.
Absolutely. Yeah.
The fundamentals there has come from somewhere else. We are only interested in the look and feel and the performance of the vehicle. So the background, when you go back to it, there is a evolution of facts and figures which needs to be analyzed first. Right? We have to start from the time when mankind wanted to move from point A to point B and to make it faster. So when we get through the journey, today we have got to a situation because of the revolution over a century plus. We have got to a situation where today on our mobile, which is a different world altogether, different industry altogether, wherein you just go and check if there's a car around you and there's a vehicle around you and you're getting to, kind of hire one, right? So imagine this is like we talked about why the previous session on converging technology industries, because convergence is the key for anything which has happened. Right? So that being said, today talking about profiling as well, it required a whole lot of new thinking which had to come to it not from what we are going to. I don't think today's world we have something called inventions. We have only innovations, right? Inventions is cliche, it's once in a lifetime probably. But innovation is continuous, evolving, different ways of doing the same thing. That's more important. It's not that nobody could, go from point A to point B on a hired vehicle. They could, but a better way to do it, faster way to do it. And that is the innovation which has gone into it. Same way, when you talk about profiling, we have all gone through this process. We have all done our 1-pager, 2-pager, and all of them we know 9 out of 10 of them, when it reaches the desk of a corporate executive, it goes to the dustbin directly. Right? What catches their eye is the one which is visually presented.
Yeah.
Right? That's not a benchmark to get to evaluate a person. Right? I don't find any, now since I interact with a lot of youth, lot of interaction, I don't find anywhere a single youth who is not worth their credit in terms of who they are. Individuality is there.
Yeah.
It is for us to identify that. Because as youth, of course, yes, experience plays a big role. Now, when we talk experience, I have heard of parents telling that, you don't understand. When you come to our age, you'll understand. Why don't we try and communicate that to them now? Why are we keeping it for them to come to that age and then tell that, see, I told you? These are all, things which we have learned through our experiences. That's not the way if we need to change the way things are done. And that's where an innovation in terms of, getting a new way of getting oneself presented. When we say visual profiling, it is more to bring in that impact that you're visually profiling yourself on a standardized method, whether you're an artist or whether even you're, let's say, an economist student, you must be able to profile the same way so that somebody shouldn't be putting your profile into the dustbin just because it doesn't look visually very good. One perspective. The second major perspective is visual does not just mean what we see. It also means the inner self. Right? We need to come out with all these things to be presented to the world. How do we present it to the world? Trust me, you go to a 5-year-old, give them cues, they will come out with something different and innovative. Right? If you don't give them cues, then they are kind of lost. Not all, but most of them. So the idea of platforms or the idea of technology creeping into our lives should be used more from the user perspective, from human mankind. Right? We are not into a space like, let's say, building an ERP solution, because that goes again into manufacturing and other systems. Let's not get into all of that. But what is important is a common topic where somebody needs to present themselves for people to understand the person even before meeting them. That's very important. That initial click, right? That initial, you get, we talk about internships. It is unfortunate that internships today happen in, at least in the corporate world, because I know you, you know me scenario, or I know your dad, you know my dad scenario. That's not the way to do. Why is that? And if you take organizations, all industry leaders talk about organizations should be innovative, they should be evolving, new things have to come up. None of them, trust me, will ever take the risk of keeping a team to be doing this on a payroll to keep innovating on a daily basis.
Right.
Even you take irrespective of the size of the organization. Internship is the way to go. You just have an idea being thought about. Get students, get youth, get them involved. Tell them this is an idea I'm throwing about on you. Get to work on it. So today's hackathons and all have made a wonderful difference because you're getting a problem solved. You're not getting a perspective to how to solve a problem. You're actually getting this problem solved. And today's world is even more critical. You will see even the largest of organizations will think, if you have an idea which you have kind of brought in a solution, not just as an idea, ideas are millions. To get it converted into practical usage perspective is more important. If you get into that and send it to the respective organization where you believe would make a difference in the way they treat their customers, trust me, you'll get a call.
Fabulous, Ravi. Thanks for building that confidence. I think you've changed thinking from a perspective of being able to tell the youth that, there are other ways to present yourself rather than just a 1-pager or a 2-pager. And I think that page is going to be as interesting as you are, while using visual profiling. And I think you made another very important point saying it's not just the presentation perspective of the profile, but also the personality perspective of the profile. I think, and you set the context for my next query to the group. Why are there no standard matrices to measure talent from a perspective of being, but from a perspective of matching them to their right skill and to the right career? Why is the lacuna there? Akshata, can I bounce that question off you?
Yeah. See, first thing is the interest. Okay. The interest. And if they're interested, you can absolutely match that to that. That's very, very important there. It plays a very major role.
Right.
As a guru or a mentor, the candidate or a youth who are looking for a future should absolutely look into it, and they should have that interest in them to get into it. That's, we will be able to match that. Guidance is important. The support from the family is also important, especially the youth interest and the complete involvement in what they are going to study and get into it in their future. That plays a very major role, Mr. Singh.
Have you seen a measurable index, or have you seen a platform, a tool, approach to actually get a rounded score from a perspective of skill, life, and I would say attitude? I know there are a lot of psychometric tests that are designed to be able to find personality, and then grade personality type to job role, and then try to figure it out. But I believe that there's still a concept, the concept which is very clinical in that approach, because there's larger personality traits that one builds through life. It's not that you stop growing when you're in your 8th standard. You continue to grow till you die. If you don't, I don't think you evolve at all. So are there any tools or approaches that you come across that actually builds a metrics for employability?
Yes, absolutely. See, when you do the screening process, as you said, psychometric test or the skill development test, where on thing, so it matters a lot. So one is on the test, and one more is on their own capability, on their own development.
Right.
So writing or passing the exam is on a certification. So that, okay, but what you are individually to connect to that and to get into that level makes a lot of difference in it. That is very important there.
Right. Absolutely well said. I think you came back to the point saying what they love to do. So it again draws back to the concept of passion, of attitude, going together, form a stage when you start planning where you want to go. And I think with the world around us being a flat place, it's not going to be very difficult to put your vision on a global thinking, to be able to actually look at careers, look at your future and employability, look at your next job. The whole idea is about getting, I think, a global context and performing locally, if your job demands.
Just to add on, Sunil,
Yeah.
the trainer plays a very major role. The teachers or a trainer or a professional, they play a very major role in students' life.
Right.
So the life cycle of the student changes from the day he joins to the course and complete the course. So how his complete development is being shaped up to get the profile done and to get into the industry and make his life successful. So each point on the career, it matters a lot on their personal development as well as the skills what they have learned, the good manners, the patience.
Yeah.
So the patience is very, very important in today's life. So immediately they cannot get into the very higher post. So I keep telling this to all my students every time. So don't expect like, okay, you're going to get a 50,000 at the first stage. So go, you learn a lot in first 1 to 3 years of your career. So to get that, you have to have your own skill. So that skill, you have to give that interest to learn that skill.
Very well said. In fact, one of our earlier sessions said that learn to earn. So if you want to earn, you have to learn. And if you have to learn, you have to learn to be multi-skilled, to be, to be able to have that patience to grow. I think you've said it. Yes, Ravi, you have something
So
to.
just to add there, we had one of the panelists say it wonderfully well. That panelist made a statement. He was a moderator of one of the, I think it's the it was the hospitality industry session. He made a clincher by saying the first few years of your career path is what you're getting paid for your learning.
Yes,
Correct.
absolutely.
And the next few years is for you to actually show what you learned in the 3 years.
Right.
Just to add on to that, because I thought we gelled well with that thought
Now
process.
that I'm
wanted
in
to
that,
make it very critical about it. Yeah.
yeah, I'm in that phase, where I'm learning. It's not that far that I finished my graduation. So I can actually see that during that internship period or whatever was the beginning period is when I have learned the most. There's a lot of difference between something you see in YouTube or someone is teaching you from the practical experience. You
Right.
learn a lot from there rather than the theories what is
You
being taught.
have to get your hands dirty to learn, right?
Exactly.
Another statement that I would like to make, because you don't learn, nobody gives you a free lunch, right? So you have to work hard, you have to slog it out, you have to make your hands dirty to fit into the role. I think
Also the thing is that when someone is teaching you, it's just them telling you what is to be done. But when you're actually doing it, what capabilities do you have to get it done. It's just not someone telling you, okay, this is to be done. I know that, okay, I can do it this way also, or something that goes wrong, I don't want to ask him. Okay, let me try how I can solve it. So there are unknown skills inside one person which will come up at that point.
right.
Yeah, so no one can tell you that what skills you will have to figure it out. Probably, as Akshata ma'am has told, trainers or the teachers will, if they mingle very well, they will know that, okay, this person has a skill, this person doesn't know it yet. So it's that trainer's job to, explain that, okay, you can probably try like this because I can see that potential in you. Why don't you try doing that? So that's where the change has to happen.
Right. So you brought in a great perspective. You said motivating the people whom you are in contact with and how they motivate you and how they bring about that hidden skill that you have into focus becomes a vital play, at least from an institutional training perspective. I think a very valid point. So Michelle, I'm going to strike you with a thunderbolt and I'm going to ask you this question. What are the 2 or 3 things that you have put together as a personality for your, you're going to be soon in the job market, you're going to be looking for your career, you're going to finish your MBA. So what is it that you're prepared for, from a perspective of employability? How have you shaped your skills? How have you shaped your, let me use the word, visual portfolio for your career?
Okay, so in terms of employability, so I have made sure that my theoretical knowledge is the best that I can do.
Right.
If it's hard, because I don't know the practical applications yet. As in, I don't know what I will be doing, but I know what I know I can do.
Right.
So, yeah, so that is one. I think another would be soft skills in general. Like, not many people know or actually have a grip of their soft skills, whom to talk to, when to talk to, or, what to think, and basically have a set of, maybe principles or something like that. And, that etiquette and timing, I mean, punctuality, all those things play a major role. So, if some of your references could actually, reinforce, just make a point that, yes, this person has, good punctuality or, attributes like that. So I think that adds to a profile as well.
Can I add to that, Sonal?
Yes, please go
Yeah,
ahead.
Nissan brought up a wonderful point because it's very, see, as we as professionals, we fail to understand certain things from the youth perspective, right? Like Michelle rightly said, I know what I know and I know what I need to do. But we never take that perspective as adults, right? And we have brought in a very, very different way of putting things across in the mass perspective. Like for example, now we talked about a job market. Are we talking about a market here? Right? It's a wrong term. We talk about job fair or job mela. These are not, we are not having cattle out here to kind of, auction them out. Right? We are not having products here to auction them out. So the rewiring is so important in this existing systems which exist in society today. I think that's the key we need to address. Another quick point which I would like to definitely bring out is, there are 2 points rather. One is from institution point of view. Institutions of repute, they know very well, they don't need to worry about, placements of their students after they complete their education. Others struggle because it's a marketplace there where they come and negotiate, right? Institutions are not meant to be placement agencies. They are supposed to be holy places of learning. Why are we not respecting them for that? I have gone through a scenario through one of our great partners whom we have in the education system, where I'm there and the agent who brought in a student is coming and negotiating for that boy to be taken back because he's been terminated from his classes for misbehavior. And he's saying, if you don't take him back because he's a boy, parent is a rich parent, next year I will not bring you admissions. Is this the way we need to bring in an educational institution? And if you ask me, is it the fault of the institution? I don't think so. Because they have to correct themselves. If they have to correct themselves, last year with the journey we started off with them in the piloting, we made a strong point. I said, if you need to associate, you need to take a stand. And they took a stand. What was the outcome of the stand? 100 students didn't come in, they're coming last year's admissions. Because they said, we're going to be strict on all these things. Right? So the rewiring in terms of how we consider is more important. Now coming to youth, I'll just make that point again. Coming to youth, we are not working in a Tinder world when it comes to work. It is not a swipe right or a swipe left. Right? We have to get to what we are doing with a lot of tenderness. Right? We have to figure out what it means to get into the corporate world. Not by saying they don't understand me. Everybody understands each other if you talk to each other, if you communicate with each other. So the point is that communication or the bridge to bring all of this together, I think we should exploit the best benefits of technology to bring that to the forefront. Right?
Yes, Ravi, you have already exploited that, and I think that's the USP of Skillablers. I think
we have made a start. We have made a wonderful start, and really makes sense now for us to kind of make this a bit. And let me tell you, Sunil, one more point. When we talk about supply and demand, this is a space which is always poles apart when you say supply and demand.
Right.
Either you have lots of job roles like in 2000 when people were rushing through because they were getting great starting salaries, but you see most of them now you take from 2015 to 2020, they realize that they just wasted time doing this job which was just mundane. Right? And they are today, I know of people who come to me and say, can I switch careers? Which career are they talking about?
Right.
There's no career which they build. They build jobs. Right? That's one scenario. On another side, you have a scenario where there are lots of people passing out who are actually not employable. That's the fact of life. Why? Because the systems didn't get them employable. Trust me, today there are no trainers or there are no faculty members. They have to be mentors. They have to mentor their way through with youth.
Right.
They
So
will be prepared for it.
with that point that you just made, I think we are going to be striking the time chord very soon. But with that point that you made, how are you reaching out to, to institutions with the Phoenix Factor program that you run as part of the Skillablers engagement with institutions? Because I think, as you rightly said in the beginning, it has to start early. So starting early means that you have to seed a concept of a finishing school, which if I can use the word, the finishing school platform is what Skillablers would be. How would you, connect with these institutions through Phoenix Factor, and what are those programs that you run as part of Phoenix Factor? If you could quickly, give us a sense of that, because I think a lot of things start early. So, going back to schools and colleges.
Okay, so first thing, in terms of starting early, it's important that we co-work, rather we coexist with all the existing systems which is there.
Right.
Second thing is why Phoenix Factor? Because life skilling is not just all. There are much more to it. So if we say there is academics and life skilling, I think we'll still not be just doing justice to what we are trying to do here. So why Phoenix Factor? Because bringing a brand there, we are able to differentiate between the components which needs to get into beyond academics. So we need to split this now, academics and beyond academics. Beyond academics, there are three major components. First is life skilling, which is very important and compulsory, or it's mandatory when an institution needs to do that. They may be doing it, but the problem is they do it as a 1 week mela again. Not good enough. It has to be a continuous process. So
Has to be
X number of
integrated.
hours per semester should be dedicated for an activity, which we know strength has to come from an external resource. Right? And if you have an ecosystem, brilliant, you're solving that problem. Second is outbound sessions, which is very important. Youth must know the world. They must get life experiences, not necessarily in factories. It should also be with nature. It should also be with multiple things they should do. And that's the best time to do that is during their studying years. And the third important thing is workplace preparation. None of them come prepared with a workplace scenario. They come in like till their studies are over, my parents fund me. After that, the company funds me. And I'm coming in as a holiday, kind of a period. Wrong. That can never be the scenario. Right? And so therefore, these corrections are important. Preparing them will make this difference. By just orienting them, we shouldn't actually be kind of prophesizing, or we shouldn't be actually kind of being prescriptive. That's not the scenario. We should just have them given the loops or the threads to actually follow.
Fabulous. I think that's the way to go, because
Shubhankar's finger going up, so I think he has a point.
No, I was like, it felt like, at least for us who don't know much about this industry, it was like extended pocket money.
Yes.
Okay, absolutely well said. I think we are running out of time, and I think being organizers, we can't default because it's our session. So I'd like to wrap it up by quickly saying thank you to all my panelists. I think you've been wonderful, bringing the perspectives of the changing face of education, the changing face of finishing schools, the changing face of technology to enable careers and employability through Skillablers. And I think we'll wrap this session with a quick overview of the power of the patented visual profiling tool or feature that we have as part of Skillablers. And Shubhu, over to you if you can do a quick run through. I think you have 4 minutes. So if you can wrap it up in 4 minutes, it would be a great.
All right, so I can start sharing now. Can you guys see my screen now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Great. So this is Skillablers website. Basically, we have told the whole session we were telling about connecting 3Is, individual, industry, institution. You can see it over here. So you can join in as either of it. So I'm an individual. I have to join in as individual only. So yeah, we are removing the student and candidate. We'll just go with individual. Let's see the sign in part. All right. So I have already signed in. So let's see. It's my colleague's profile. Don't think it's mine. So,
Wouldn't
uh,
have been bad to show yours as well.
yeah, fine. All right. So this area is called the personal details. So there are basically four tabs, which is profile builder, career development, reports, and my accounts. We'll come to the other three later on. But beginning with profile builder, we have personal details, wherein it explains by itself its personal details. So you have your name, number, date of birth, things like that. Then contact details, address, ID card, because for placement as well as job and all, people are asking PAN card and all those things, which is really necessary. So you can just fill it up, and then comes to get noticed, which is the main part actually for us, yeah, profile picture you will see everywhere, but there's something called profile video. So it's 45-second long video of your introduction. So even though we say that don't judge the book by its cover, we are giving a cover here. We are humans. We always judge with the cover, at least a bit. To see the context, we have to see the cover. Okay, it's very impressive. So that's what we are gonna do over here. Over 45-second long video, you're gonna explain what exactly you are, and then we post over here. So
Very interesting because video is being used as the form of profiling you. And profiling you with video gives you opportunity to self-express, to communicate. I think to show off your skills from a perspective of being able to get your message across in 45 seconds. So that's a beautiful approach.
True, 45 seconds, because people don't have much,
Right.
patience anymore. So it's better to finish it off with, lesser content. Then comes the courses period. So basically,
Just to add
please.
there, Shubhankar, it is not more from patience levels. It is when you're in the corporate world with multiple priorities with them, they don't have the time or the privilege to sit through and get to hear a story in its truest sense. So a 45-second video would actually bring out the essence of the person in its entirety when you're introducing yourself without any pressures. You're not sitting in the studio to do that. You're sitting at your own, comforts, and you're doing that. So that will make the difference. Yeah.
Great. All right. So we have here courses wherein there is add new as well as the list of the courses which you have added. So here is where you have to add either academic or vocational courses. You can just keep on filling up. It's a basically self-explanatory. You will see what are the headings. You can just keep putting them up, and of course we are providing this self video, referral video here as well. So the thing is that all the sections we are providing places for you to upload video. So explaining what you have done in the course, because in the 45 seconds from the beginning, you wouldn't have finished it. So we are providing everywhere the same functionality. Then comes the experience. It's the same thing again. You will fill up the experiences in the right side. You will see it in the left side. Similarly, project skills. Second, then comes certificates, languages. Languages, instead of filling up other details, will be your proficiency, reading, writing, and speaking. Again, it will be shown here. So rest everything is almost same. Then comes to uploads, wherein we can put up, yeah, we have mentioned about this profile videos already. And company specific is, in case you're applying for a specific job to a company, you can put up a separate video mentioning that specific job. So only they will see that, not the whole world. Referral videos are basically your friends or peers or manager, and anyone can put up any video on that. Basic profile, if we go to, then okay, so whatever we have filled up over these tabs, we are making we are auto generating a resume for you. I know how hard it was to create my resume when I just finished my college. So we are generating it for you. Let's see how it comes. It's downloaded here, and then when I open, it's something like this. So we have filled it up by ourselves, like it's auto generated. So based on whatever you have filled, we will align it for you and then generate this resume. All right, then moving on. we have personality tests. We were talking about personality tests, which we have mentioned in the beginning. So we have one third party partner with us. We will see here. It's called the Big Five. I'll show you the test. So, all right. So these are the questions which will come up. I'm a warrior. How much do you agree to it? You don't agree at all? A little bit. So basically, it's like that. You keep filling it up, and it will tell you what you are good in or how much you are good in something. So these are the main 5 things.
So basically here you actually, look at the big 5 parameters of life and your personality, and you build out this profile from a perspective of being able to take up the personality test. So it gives you a rounded kind of a score, not only from a perspective of your courses and your profile, which you just filled up from your achievements, languages, but gives you a 360-degree evaluation of who you are from a perspective of personality as well. Shubhu, can you just focus now on the 360-degree?
Yes, due to lack of time, these things you can actually explore. Whoever needs to can actually, log into this and then explore. Let's go to the SVP. Here it comes, the visual profiling, which we have been talking since the beginning. All right, so here's the picture, your details, and your score, the Profile 360 score. Based on whatever you have put in, this score is generated, and that kind of, tracks where you stand. All right, so once you click over here, it'll actually take you to the page where it'll tell you how you can increase your score by adding whatever it is necessary. All right, going back to SVP, you will see the video here. So this is picture and video. Then your profile info, experience, the skills, the certified courses, everyone can just see it. As Michelle had told in the beginning, so it's your whole horoscope in here, I can see, the whole history. You can just click and you will see the more details. All right, there are videos. Again, I have told it could be self, it could be family, friends, faculty, etc. This is the personality test which you have mentioned. So it'll show where you stand. And then comes the languages, employment, similarly, and courses. So that's pretty much it.
So Ravi, if I can ask you to give us a 1-minute wrap on the visual profiling, power of visual profiling for the youth.
Yeah.
And why should one do it from a perspective of being able to, what I started with, be employable.
Okay. So first thing is the SVP, single view profile itself says it all, right? In one single view, you're getting to understand the personality of an individual. This is not just youth, it is across the board. But the most important thing is that today our discussion is on youth, so we better focus on that. Second most important thing is you have various benchmarks to decide across the board, which means if you talk about the Profile 360 score, you can have that Profile 360 score across multiple institutions when youth come in from there, but benchmark on a common parameter. Right? So you may come from different institutions, different geographies, but you're getting benchmarked across one single parameter. You get to the personality test, that's the space where you can have any kind of test which is powered from an administrative perspective. I think these are things which will make it very unique. Secondly, the kind of sharing of the profiles, completely monitored and managed, and it's all on the go. It's all in real time. You don't need to even be prepared with your profiles and all that, like a 2-page when you do, and keep it ready for a particular interaction you're getting into. So in a nutshell, it's basically trying to bring in the essence of what an industry would require from an individual to make a better, I would say, to make a better judgment of that individual beyond the institution they came from, beyond the geographical location they're coming from, and more importantly, beyond their presentation skill in how to put themselves.
Great, Ravi. Thank you so much. Thanks, team. Ravi, Shubhankar, Michelle, Akshata, you've been wonderful panelists for the day. And, I love this discussion from a perspective of being able to redefine, employability from a perspective of the skill enablers perspective of 3Is, and the very exciting way of profiling yourself as an autobiography for your next employer. Thanks again. Thanks for being at YCC. Over to you, Deepika. I'm sorry that we spilled over time. That was just a few privileges that we thought we could take with you.